Let's say you want a luxury car. Well, for around £1,000 a month on a lease deal, you could be cruising around in a limousine from Mercedes, Lexus or BMW. Alternatively, you could take that £1,000 and buy outright a 20-year-old S-Class, a 20-year-old LS or a 20-year-old BMW 7 Series. Now in this video, we're going to find out which of these cars is best. Anyway, I'm Matt Watson, and you're watching carwow. Schweinhund. Let's start this video by talking about the design of these cars. So, S-Class's rear end, even though it's 20 years old, it's still got that elegance. It's almost timeless, isn't it? We've got bits of chrome there, just need a little bit of a rub to clean them up a bit. Got some rust. Look at this old-fashioned parking sensors here. They're huge. Looks like it's got the pox. This one is a bit recessed. It's probably not working, that one. Let's move on to the Lexus. It's not such an attractive design. It's got quite a bulbous bumper. Looks like it's got bird poo on it, but it's not actually. This is some kind of like parking ding or something. Look, the paint's actually come off, unless it was really caustic bird poo. And check this out, look, back in the day, GB with its stars for Europe. It's a distant memory, that is. Moving on to the BMW 7 Series. Now, back in the early noughties, this was such a controversial design, but do you know what? When you compare the back end of this to all the other cars, it looks the most modern. Everyone was wrong. Chris Bangle was a design genius. Mind you, it does look like this car's got vitiligo. It's a bit patchy. Anyway, rear end, prefer this. Oh, and look, the most modern aerial. Look at the shock fin aerial compared to the aerials on the other cars. Yeah, like the arse of this. Now let's compare these cars from the side. And at first glance, this BMW looks pretty tidy, apart from the odd scuff here. And what's going on here? Look at these actual cracks. Why would you have cracks? Ah, that's all filler. Still, we have got some bad boy 19-inch alloy wheels in black with the nice silvery accents. Yeah, there's lots of curbage going on here. That doesn't look original. It's a different colour to the rest of the paint. Move to the Lexus. What's going on here at the back here in the bumper? I know what that is. That's because it's been fitted with an LPG conversion. Actually, you've got the same thing on this BMW. It's just on the other side. Now, the wheels are smaller, 17 inches. Scuff marks, but chrome to make up for it. Look, another bit of a door mirror issue here. This one, instead of being replaced with a different colour, it's simply taped at the front. Oh, a little bit of accident damage. Oh dear. Still, the wheels aren't so bad in terms of curbage, but they are just starting to kind of bubble and stuff. Do you like the paint colour though? Aubergine. Now the S-Class. This boot doesn't fit quite properly, and I've noticed this weird colour. It's almost like rose gold colour here on these bits of chrome trim. Has someone done that to the car? Is it just discoloration? I don't know. Got some small wheels though, look. 16 inches on an S-Class. Should help the ride though. Look, there's quite a bit of rust here. Patina or just rust? Mind you know what they say. Rust is lighter than carbon fibre. Got a lightweight S-Class. Brilliant. Overall, from the side, which do I prefer the look of? Despite the filler, I think I prefer the look of the BMW. Finally, let's compare the fronts of these cars. S-Class, really elegant. Yeah, this one has some yellow headlights, but you could soon make those shiny again. And you know what? Look at this. I'll tell you what, £1,000 for that three-pointed star, it's worth it alone, isn't it? Moving to the Lexus, it's actually quite tidy at the front, but there's something about the design of the LS430. It's just a bit bulbous and fish-like. The previous generation 400 was a better looking car. The best looking car out of these three though is the BMW. Not this one though. It's got a bit of a faded BMW badge and something wrong with its left kidney. In fact, it looks like it's got a bit of a cocaine habit and it's like nasal septum's gone. Anyway, I think overall I still prefer the look of this BMW. But what do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Now let's talk through the prices of these cars. So back in the day, 2001, this S320 diesel, £51,000. This Lexus LS430, 2001 model year yet again, £54,000. The BMW 735i, this is a 2002 model year, it was £53,000. But thanks to depreciation, they're just a fraction of that now. Okay, let's see what these cars are like to drive. And I'm going to start off with this S-Class. Back in the day, this was the ultimate luxury limousine. Very comfy, easy to drive, quiet, punchy engine. It had everything going on. Today it obviously feels quite a bit baggier because it's a little long in the tooth, but comfort levels are impressive. The air suspension is going over bumps so well, and I can even put it into sports mode because I've got adaptive dampers. Now it feels noticeably firmer, but I would never call this car sporty. In fact, it's quite interesting. I've recently driven the latest Mercedes S-Class, and that feels way more direct and way more responsive than this thing. In fact, look, I mean, nothing's happening, nothing. Let's get into comfort mode because it's definitely how this car should be driven. Let's try the gearbox kick down. Didn't really kick down much there. We've only got 5 automatic gears. There we go. Oh, no, it doesn't seem to want to kick down, but there's enough pulling power from this diesel engine and it's quite smooth that you can overtake if you need to. I'd happily just drive around in this. The only problem is the seats, they're very slippy. This leather's gone a bit shiny and you don't really, it doesn't really grip your bottom. Other than that though, I'm liking this for an old car. In terms of problems, there aren't many. One weird thing about it though, when you come back to this car after leaving it locked overnight, the air suspension automatically raises at the rear, but then when you drive it just levels out again. Weird. And I can't complain about the economy. It's doing around 40 odd miles per gallon, this thing. Okay, so now I've swapped a diesel Mercedes for a V8 BMW on petrol power, and it feels more responsive, also revs nicely, and I've got 6 speeds from my gearbox, and I can actually put the car into manual mode, change gears using these buttons on the steering wheel, which is weird. Let's just go back into normal drive. So this car back in the day was praised for having similar levels of comfort to the Mercedes S-Class, but with a slightly sportier edge, and it does handle better this. It's more responsive, though it's certainly no sports car, and it is showing its age. It feels a bit baggy. It's not quite as good at isolating you from the bumps as the S-Class. It's not as comfy, but I do like it, although it's just got all the warning signs. I mean, I've got a warning sign saying bonnet open. The bonnet isn't open, we've double checked. It reckons the outside temperature is minus 40 degrees. It's definitely not. There's lots of other warning signs as well. One to do with the oil in the power steering, which is actually linked to the special hydraulic suspension, which is self-leveling. Though it's not self-leveling anymore, it's got a slight lean, this car has now. And then there's the fact it's got an oil leak from the engine as well. Good thing about that is that you don't ever have to change the oil because you're constantly refreshing it as you go. I like this car, I like the way it drives, probably the best overall, but I'm just so worried with it because these warning lights it's got, it's going to end up costing a lot of money. So I've got more peace of mind with the S-Class. Let's take this back and switch into a car which should be more reliable, the Lexus. Finally then, we come to the Lexus. Like the BMW, smooth V8. The gearbox isn't as responsive though. Takes a wee while to kick down. Good comfort levels. Air suspension doing a good job over bumps. Bit better than the BMW, I think. Not quite as good as the Mercedes. Got a sports mode like in the Mercedes. I press that, should stiffen up the suspension. I feel no change, no change at all. Put that back into normal for what it's worth. Steering's really slow. I think it's even slower than the Mercedes. It's all right though, just for cruising around. That engine is so smooth. Do have a bit of a wobble on the steering wheel. The brakes seem the least responsive out of all 3. And there's some weird faults with this car, right? You get the odd engine warning light, it flashes up, then goes away. There's actually a coolant leak though, which is more worrying, and the car drains its battery overnight. You leave it, you come to it, it's just like flat. You charge it up, it goes, then leave it, it's flat again. There's also an exhaust rattle. Another problem is that the motor for the steering column adjustment has gone, so I can't alter it. I just don't like this driving position I'm in. I thought Lexuses were all about reliability, but this one is a bit sketchy. I wonder if this is the least reliable Lexus ever. Maybe I got unlucky. If it wasn't for that, it's quite nice to drive. Visibility is particularly good. Well, apart from all this horrible wood. Ugh. But the view out's nice. Another problem with this car is the economy. The BMW wasn't great, it was doing about 20 miles to the gallon. This is only doing 17. And while I could run it on LPG, the tank's so small, you only get about 100 miles out of a tank anyway. This would be expensive to run, probably expensive to fix as well. Now I've stopped, you can really see the steam coming from under the bonnet on this Lexus. Oh dear. Let's compare these cars' interiors. I'm going to start with the S-Class, and it feels pretty old-fashioned in here. Lots of wood going on. Still got squidginess. Remember, this was the height of luxury back in the day. Oh yeah, electric steering column. Though all of the 3 cars actually have an electric steering column. Seats, they're okay. That's funny though. Look at that little screen down there. Look at it, that sat nav. Oh gosh, it's so basic. I just pressed something and it's gone off, and it wasn't the off button. Oh wait, no, I think that's it. It's dead. Oh no, it's back. Here in the back of this S-Class, it feels very basic compared to the very latest S-Class. Though, look, we do have vanity mirrors in the roof. Oh, yeah, I'm so vain. Oh, only one of the lights is working on this one. Still, it's actually comfy back here. Lots of room, though I'm not sure what this dirty patch is there. In fact, I dread to think. Here in the back of the Lexus, it feels pretty much as roomy as the S-Class, though you do sit slightly higher. Big difference, though, is the tech in here. So, look, I have rear infotainment screens because there's a DVD player in the back and you control it by this remote. And I have put new batteries in this, but it doesn't seem to work. Then maybe I need a DVD disc in the player for it to operate. I don't know. Also, there's more tech here. I can control the stereo from back here. And look at this, I can move the seats forwards and backwards, make them more reclined or more upright, and I can put the headrest up. What else we got in here? Look, I can do the rear blind. We've got heated rear seats as well, and a vibration function. I think it's supposed to be a massage, but it's more just like shaking my bits about it. Oh, it's actually quite pleasurable. Yeah, this is very high tech, and a lot of it seems to work. Oh, in here, look, we have a fridge. Cool. What's less cool is the amount of wood you have here in the front of the Lexus LS. I mean, look at it. It's very old manny, isn't it? And the seat colouring is hearing aid beige. Tell you what's a bit annoying about this? It has a sunroof, which I'd normally like, but the car randomly opens and shuts its sunroof at will, and I can't shut it or open it when I want to. So I can set the temperature of the front seat, so they have a heating function and a cooling function, which is nice. And look at this, a large infotainment screen with satellite navigation, and look, it's a touchscreen. Ooh, I think after this, Lexus switched from a touchscreen to this weird mouse control system, which is actually less good than this. Finally, we come to the BMW, which has the most modern looking interior out of the three. Even the wood is acceptable. What's less acceptable is the build quality. So look, I mean, this thing is just falling apart. Bits coming off, bits of trim missing. Look, that's not great, is it? You've also got the very first generation of BMW's iDrive. So you've got a big screen, but the graphics are kind of dull and it's low res. You can control it using the wheel, which is also coming apart. Great BMW, great. And what other buttons will kind of drop off? What's this? It's a keypad for an old-fashioned phone. Here in the back of the 7 Series, there's more build quality issues. That's definitely broken now. Knee room's all right, headroom's all right. It's very similar in size to the other two, really. It's not got quite the tech of the Lexus, but a bit more than in that Mercedes. For instance, look, we have adjustable. We did have. It was working a moment ago and it stopped. I was going to say adjustable headrests. See if I can do the other side. Maybe it's the ignition. Let's try it now. Actually, when you start the ignition, you get that weird clicking sound. Can you hear that? Oh, look, and now it's going up on its own. Random. And you've also got seat heating as well. As for the rest of the practicality, these cars' boots are very similar in size. So the BMW and the Mercedes both have 500 litres of space, and the Lexus has 570 litres of boot space. However, both... Oh dear, I think the BMW is losing its mind. However, the BMW and the Lexus both have LPG conversions. Now, with the BMW, the tank is just in the boot, so that eats into loads of space. With the Lexus, it's where the spare wheel will go, so you have to carry around the spare wheel in the boot. So overall, the Mercedes has the biggest usable boot. Now let's talk about the engines. So this Mercedes has a 3.2 litre straight six diesel with 197 horsepower and 470 Newton meters of torque. Let's have a listen to it. Go on, start it up. Rev it. That's enough. Listen to that. It's like a van. Cut it. I just noticed there's rust here. Look, there's rust even underneath the bonnet. Anyway, let's move on to the Lexus. It has a 4.3 litre naturally aspirated V8 with 281 horsepower and 417 Newton meters of torque. Now let's have a listen to this. Should be smoother than the Mercedes if it starts. There we go. Got... Oh, yes. Oh no! Oh no! Stop! Right, very smooth, but might not last for much longer. Also, this is quite interesting, having to prop up the bonnet with a stone because the gas struts have gone. Same problem with the BMW, we're using this brick instead though. Anyway, the engine, 3.6 litre V8, 272 horsepower and 360 Newton meters of torque. And it sounds like this. Nice. Not quite as nice as the Lexus, but at least it isn't pissing out coolant everywhere. Now I'm going to launch the cars to see how quick they are from 0 to 60 miles an hour over the standing quarter mile. Then I'm going to brake test them and measure their stopping distance from 100 miles an hour to 0 and 60 miles an hour to 0. Well, let's do it. Start off with this S-Class. See what it does. Brake boost it. Brake boosting. Come on, diesel. Oh, bit of wheel spin. Traction control kicked in there. Here we go now. Oh, we're on boost. Oh yeah, what's this? 0 to 60. 9.5 seconds. What's the quarter mile? Quarter mile, 17.39. Can I get to 100? I don't want to do this full emergency stop. I hope the ABS works, otherwise it's going to be very, very sketchy. Right, here we go. Oh, still quite sketchy, but the ABS is thankfully working. Right, let's see how long that took to stop. So from 100 miles an hour, it took 495 feet to stop. From 60 miles an hour, it took 180 feet to stop. Now let's try the Lexus. Bit of precision engineered Japanese V8, let's do it. Brake boost. Oh yeah, oh my God, the acceleration is so strong. I've got a warning light coming on for the screen wash fluid. All those G's. Anyway, 0 to 60 in 8.42 seconds. What's the quarter mile gonna be? Can't see. Oh, there we go. 16.48. Now let's do the brake test. Let's get to 100. Don't kill me, car. Oh, that felt more stable than the Mercedes. Ooh, interesting. It stopped in a shorter distance. So 469 feet to stop from 100 miles an hour. And from 60 miles an hour, it took 167 feet. And there's a weird, slightly burny smell. Finally then, the BMW. What can it do? Let's launch it. Oh, stability kicked in there. Lots of rattling from the cans in the cabin here. What we got? 60 miles an hour is 8.93, not as quick as the Lexus. Can it catch it up on the quarter mile? Come on, what are you going to do? 16.91, no it can't. How about the brake test? Come on. That is sketch. That is really scary, and it's still going. What? Am I driving on glass? It feels like it. What did it do? Brake test from 100 miles an hour, it actually did the worst, 505 feet. However, it was a bit better than the S-Class from 60, 177 feet. Overall, I think the Lexus won the performance tests. That was really worrying. Oh, I didn't like that at all. So then, what's my final verdict? If I had to keep one of these cars, which one would it be? Well, it wouldn't be the Lexus because I think it's the ugliest. It's not quite as reliable as I'd like a Lexus to be. And while that V8 is lovely, it's very, very thirsty. And this car is very expensive to run. BMW, I like it, looks cool, it's nice inside, feels the most modern, and it would be the best to drive if it wasn't riddled with faults that would be very expensive to fix. And that leaves us with the Mercedes. Yes, it's got loads of rust, but that shouldn't be a problem until about 2 or 3 years down the line. You could drive this car for quite a while and it will do you absolutely proud. And that diesel engine, it's smooth and it's economical. And that's why it wins this test.